What's going on, everyone? Okaydrian here, and this is an exciting week. I promise you're going to want to watch this video. Why? Well, Hauke's here.
So I would like to build something where you just slash through these little...
And it's our bi-weekly community idea stream, which means all the ideas you put out, and there were many. This is the list of ideas that we kind of went through and which ones didn't make it in and why are being voted on by you, because we've narrowed them down to 3. And whichever one you choose is the one the Asia Pacific team will work on for you, the community ideas portion. Please take some time, watch the video, enjoy yourself, be on the lookout for some news about the test servers in this very video. Enjoy. It's that special time of the week that you all came in on, and at various time zones too. I know all of you are not maybe in the best of sleep hours. Maybe a few of you are, like us. Welcome in. It's time for the bi-weekly community ideas working title, whatever it is, stream. I'm Okaydrian.
The bi-weekly, whatever it is, community title stream.
Hey! Nice ring. Very nice ring. Well,
how are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to fix my key light, but I think it's too bright. There we go.
Yeah, I could try to fix the sun, but I don't think there's much way around that.
Oh, apparently you're creating more jingles. Is that true?
Me? I mean, I could.
I think that could be part of the weekly community, well, bi-weekly community super ideas stream.
The bi-weekly super community ideas.
Yes, that can be the server stream. There it is. Hey, you recognize that voice? Hi, everyone. Hi, Spata. Hi, Grish. Hello, Hauke. Hello, myself. Hello, backup account, another account. Wonderful. Dr. Sharky.
Yeah, I assume people think that this is going to be only voted on this stream so that they can just sneak their way in and just with 6 accounts influence what we're going to build.
Boy, do we have news for you. As I posted in the Discord, the benefit of this VOD is that you don't have to be present for it. It helps if you are, because you can immediately put your ideas to the forefront, any objections you have, any persuasive arguments you may have towards anything. But the thing is, we take into account everything, whether you're commenting on social media, whether you're responding to the VODs on YouTube, or you're posting in the ideas section of the Discord, or just posting in the Discord altogether. We're watching everywhere.
Well, it is a good point, because I also was kind of afraid that either people only vote on this stream, or that we then post it and basically people only look at the titles, which is basically what the leads first did, and I had to remind them that they actually need to read through stuff. But yeah.
Please read through
please
stuff.
read them. I actually did these videos. I think you saw them, like 15 minutes of explaining every single idea in 1 minute, because it was roughly 13 ideas, I think, that we came up with based on the community ideas.
It's very professor of you. You know, the way you're doing online courses, and it's like, I don't want to watch the entire lecture, but there's like a little 2-minute recap. Thank you. Wow. What a guy.
Right? Well, also, like, it's just a learning that things just work better. I think it's so interesting that the moment we, like, announce the stream, that's when people come. Like, it's like 6 to 8 people during waiting, and then boom.
And clarification, in case it's a thing, it's not a thing, but just before it becomes a thing, I put that there. I put that his title should be literally everything, just to make it so it's not several things. It saves me time as an OBS artist on here. So if you have any complaints, direct them to me, or just don't say them.
Thank you.
Of course. So for this week, we said it would be bi-weekly. We stuck true to that. And last time we took your numerous ideas. And again, there's nothing wrong with putting out too much. I have people who have sometimes fears of just, do I talk too much? Do I suggest too much? No. Put out tons of ideas, but to be faithful to this idea, we have taken those swath of ideas, put them forward towards the team, and as Hauke said, he even did a little video to kind of break down which ones could be the best ones and why. And the team went over the details of each one, of why one's more realistic than the other one, and what could happen. And just to give you an oversight of what we looked at, we have a collection of the ideas, and we can go down which ones didn't make it in and give a brief, probably pretty brief reason as to why this isn't the case right now, but it could be later on. And then we'll break you down to the 3 that we actually ended up choosing and why. So let's do that right now. Boop, boop. Press the right button. Very proud of myself.
Perfect. Also, after 20-second transition, we're finally here.
Yeah, we haven't. I should add a memo for that. Okay, cool. All right, next week we'll have that down to 15 seconds, everyone. This is the list of ideas that we kind of went through and which ones didn't make it in and why. Hauke, you were a great part of this. So I guess...
Yeah, I actually was completely in charge of this, basically. Even though the ideas were designed together with the AP team, what we basically did is also shout out to you, Adrian, because you collected all the ideas from all different sources. Once we'll go over this, you'll also see that there is there's the notes on the left, which is community ideas. These are based on color where we got them from. That might be the stream, that might be someone mentioned it on a Discord, on any social media, whatever, basically. Then there is direct cutouts from the ideas section of our Discord, which are these like black background thingies, which is usually when I cut out an idea and put it in there because, of course, I use dark mode because I'm cool.
Let's go.
And then additionally, there is some cutouts from an Excel sheet-like thing. I think you're hovering over 2 of them right now. The in-game clock, for example, which is when it was mentioned on Steam, in reviews, anywhere basically where our community team picked up these ideas. We do a monthly evaluation of all the feedback we received. That's where these come from, and we then took them and transitioned them into ideas. And again, for the why do ideas look the way they are, we basically, as the Asia Pacific team, go in and say, what can we build? Which is, we have 2 game designers, a narrative designer, which is me, I'm game design and narrative design, and we have a 3D artist. And Ari is partly programming, basically. Like, he is very, very good, not only in Unreal, but he's also really, like, he has knowledge in C++, super versatile guy, so we can do a lot of stuff. But we do not have engineers, we do not have audio design, whatever. So we basically consider everything we don't have in the AP team, Asia Pacific, outsourcing, even if it just means asking the main team. And again, that we interpret an idea a certain way doesn't mean that the main team will later revisit that idea and execute it the way you originally suggested it.
Right.
It just means we cannot right now execute this idea the way it was suggested here.
Correct. Also, hello, Sir Wewell. I also want to give it a shout out to Alex Dane. Well, you all may not know this. He does composition, but he moonlights information gathering too. So a large part of these right here originally are gathered by him, which makes things a lot easier on me. So we talk about everybody filling in different roles and wearing different hats. That's one of the things we're talking about. There's a lot of ask of, can you do this? I think I have the capability of doing that. All right, cool. Well, thank you for helping out.
We're still an indie studio, right? Like, sometimes everyone just picks up stuff. Like, I work usually on 5 things at the same time, which is kind of normal as one of the founders. But we also have people who, like Alex, audio design and community feedback evaluation is an interesting mix.
Yes. So as we look at these chosen 12, we'll get to the top 3 right here, which I'm sure all of you are waiting for, because just to recap for those who are watching in the future or watching right now, these are the 3 you'll be voting on. We'll get to those. But for now, let's talk about the ones that were not chosen and what not chosen right now truly means. Hello, Spata. Because one of the things you mentioned right there was in-game clock, better understanding of stability, all that kind of stuff. So real quick, this right here, what would you say about that stability?
This better. Where is it? Can you say the number?
12.
12. So basically, I'll give a little overview of what this journey looks like. There on the left, most likely, there will be one of these, which is... Oh, you can't see my cursor right now, right? Why can't you see my cursor?
Why can't I see your cursor?
I don't get it.
That's weird.
Oh. Well, anyways. Basically, you see that big block up there. Players don't really understand how stability works and when it works. This was coming from several sources. We had this feedback in several positions.
There we go.
That's the original feedback. Then there's yellow notes, which are just remarks from our side, from anyone. Basically, they are super abstract. You'll not gather much information. This was just notes that I took during the call with the AP team where we discussed what should we do. And then at the top right, you see a first very rough estimate, and that is work days. Basically, 1 week being 5 work days for one person if there's holidays coming up, if someone is out, 6 weeks does not mean this is done in 6 weeks. That means 6 weeks of work, which, depending on the season, on the setup of the team, sometimes someone takes vacation for 10 days, could be like 3, 4, 5 months even in certain cases. I would not assume that that's the case, but yeah. So how we approach this idea, for example, is that there's a lot of feedback where people say, I don't fully understand stability, it seems vague, sometimes I take out pieces and then the pieces above it crumble. This is an incredibly hard one for us. This is kind of coincidentally on the last spot, but this is also the least tackleable idea. We said, though, that we'll not dismiss a single idea. Every idea that came in, we wanted to come up with a suggestion. Because why is it hard? It is solely code-based. We did neither of the people on our team built that code. We made the original formula to some degree, but that has been changed quite a bit over the months. And there's someone else on the West team who's fully responsible for this system. What we could do, though, is revisit the system and look a little bit into, hey, is there maybe a better way to narrate this? Like, you might have noticed when you pick up a piece or destroy it, it starts shaking. And we could try to add that shaking effect to other parts of the buildings, maybe add some UI elements that make it a little clearer. It is just, for us, this was by far the hardest, because there is no really smart way for us to work with this. We cannot go in and change stability. We cannot go in and significantly change the blueprint system. We can only work on the colors a little bit, on the effects. Like, basically, 6 weeks here means excessive playtesting with the community, gathering the feedback needed, and then forwarding that information to the person that can actually make these changes.
Oh, poor Michael. When you think about things like this, obviously putting out the 6 weeks right there, to me, it's clear as day. The most glaring issue is the fact that it was built in a system that we're trying to work around right now that we can't fix right now. But as we start to get up in the other choices, how much is the time that it takes a factor into the choice of we select these three?
Not at all, actually.
Okay.
Basically, the only time where something was a problem was the in-game clock, because that was so little work that we decided, hey, we can do that.
Okay.
And basically, the in-game clock made us realize that we should. It's actually less. Like, our original estimate was 2 days.
Okay.
But the problem with that was that we didn't expect such small ideas. So that's also a topic for today, to potentially discuss, hey, how transparent should we maybe even be with the schedule, and saying, hey, even if you like this idea, if we start working on the in-game clock right now, we could potentially push it out in a week.
So that sounds like the kind of thing that, and again, just so everybody, I keep reinforcing this, so we all know it by heart. This is for the Asia Pacific team to take care of community-based ideas, but if something like in-game clock can be taken care of so quickly, that could be the kind of thing that we could just push towards the main team and say, can we include this in an update in the future, like a main monthly update? They want an in-game clock. We'll work on this stuff. You can just work on that, maybe?
Yeah. Like, for example, the in-game clock could eventually make it. So what we basically, but yeah, staying on the better understanding of stability,
Sure.
That is mainly a game design usability overhaul. Like, we cannot the system in itself, and I might be very bold here, is not a problem. Stability in itself works as intended. It works good. And if we were better at showing and explaining to me, means showing different colors, making things shake, making it clearer to players what's happening in our system, because there's no problem with how it's set up. It is really well set up. Great job by the engineers who overhauled the system. Yeah.
Yeah, and Greece, you say that honestly, most of the time you make trolling comments, but yeah, green is good, red is bad. That's true. And that's the stability system in a nutshell. I think people are intimidated from the very start. I think maybe part of the problem is making sure you understand when you start your build, the best way to start off, so you don't fall in love with the wrong pieces.
Now you can take things out, right? Like, you've built something, it shows up completely green, and suddenly you take out one wall and everything above it just gets destroyed. Yeah. You had no warning from a game side. Nothing told you, don't do this, my friend.
Yeah.
This is going to destroy something. And technically, we could look into the code and potentially even like send a warning, at least. Say, if you take this out, there's other pieces that rely on this. It might destroy something. Be careful. Take those things first.
Yep. That'd be kind of a cool effect, actually. I think, yeah, as you pull the piece out, it gives you a warning and then highlights the structures that'll be affected. And then you look up and everything just looks red, and you go, oh, if I pull this wall, my entire city is decimated.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that is basically this 6 weeks would most likely end up at the end of the 6 weeks. We stand there and say, and we need another 5 to fix what we now discovered.
Okay, cool. We got that taken care of. In-game clock, I feel like we just kind of touched on, really, which is just...
I was, very surprised by this estimate. It was just asked for a real-time in-game clock. Ari estimated that it takes him 2 days. Generally, all estimates that are done by someone who does C++ are way too fast because they always run into problems. So I bumped it up to a week, and then we said we would potentially even look into an in-game calendar feature. So let's say if we live in different time zones, which can easily happen in Europe, in Asia, wherever, that you play on the same server, but you do have slightly different time zones, that you can put something in a calendar and say, this is the time where we want to do our town attack. Everyone, please be online. You send an invite. When that person logs in, they see a little mark on their calendar that says, here's an invite. And we would look into that, but that would most likely then take longer than 2 weeks. But we estimated roughly 2 weeks to implement an in-game clock with maybe one neat feature or something. Yeah. Work time again. No, and this I like also requires outsourcing, which is what brought it a little lower because we do not do UI design.
I feel like once we get in more stuff to do, like more events, which actually happen, I think 1 through 10, that will make this more beneficial because you'll have more things to plan your calendar around. So
I think this also didn't receive many votes from the lead team because it just right now adds a very small benefit compared to what 2 weeks could do otherwise. It's a priority. I think it was very low in votes because people felt like, well, that's 2 weeks spent on something that technically could be spent better somewhere else.
For sure. I'm with it. Dr. Sharky, I'm with that as well. That would be a great addition to give a prompt that says, stuff depends on me. Don't take me out just yet. I would love it too if it was a speaking wall. Like it gets a little speech bubble and it says, please don't take me out. Or people just want to replace walls with another one to make it so the pieces they're relying on deleted can stay up for a few seconds until you actually place the new wall back.
But that is, for example, a good example. That sounds super easy. Currently, our system does not communicate in that way. So we would need engineering work to make it so that one piece sends a warning before it gets destroyed. Basically, it's based on ticks. A tick is the moment that in the game something asks for certain information, to put it simply. Basically, each tick, something happens in a game. Each tick takes work, and so you put ticks on specific counters so that things only get checked let's say a tick is a second, and things get only checked every 2, 3, 4 seconds. Because if it checks all the time, that's just a lot of load that is just wasting basically capacity on the system. So let's say the building checks every 2 seconds. Do I have the stability that I need? And the moment that it receives a no as an answer, it destroys itself. So building it in a way that it first sends a warning that it doesn't have the stability needed is a new system that is not in our code currently. Basically, that check does not yet happen. I'm not saying it's impossible to build it, but that is a West team task. So if this becomes so big that everyone agrees we should do this, that is for the West team.
You hear that, West team? Hope they're watching. Yeah, that basically explains all that too. It makes it easier, hopefully. So in-game clock taken care of. 11 and 12 are taken care of. Excuse me. Town perks.
My personal favorite, which I'm very sad that it didn't make it. Mumantai suggested the general idea that towns have a perk system. And the idea was, hey, like I'll just read. For example, a possible perk for towns could increase the size of stacks in the town's chest. Another perk could give the JMS, like Gibling Maintenance System, a boost in efficiency, reduction of material cost, and so on and so forth. This is a great idea. We couldn't do this because this is just too much. So we came up with a counter suggestion. Our suggestion would be that you can build buildings in your town that provide aerial or time-based effects. As an example, there's a little hot tub in your town. If you go into that hot tub and sit in there for 30 seconds, you get a 30-minute 10% walking speed buff, or 20% even. And that will basically achieve the same because you go back to your town to pick up these buffs regularly and then go away from them. We could do that right now. We have everything in place for this. Our town already provides aerial effects. We could add that to certain buildings. We had several examples of these. Like, for example, a hot bath, a sauna, We could even do just an like a dinner table. If you sit at it for a while and another player sits there too, you get like a social buff, which makes you just gather things faster. And just something like that is absolutely doable. It would take us 4 weeks. Sadly, this received just not enough votes to make it into the voting this time, which isn't saying that next time it could be there.
That's kind of the cool part about it, is that even though this is 10th, as we narrate and get through the first 2, 3, 4, 5, you might come around in 3 months and go, hey, you know what? Back to that town perk idea. And now, because everyone has what they want from the first 3 voting sessions, this becomes the brand new priority. And who knows by then what content we'll have out. It might fit in better because, I don't know, a little place called Liquid Meadows. Maybe even a negative effect. There are sulfur vents everywhere. Maybe you sit in a sulfur bath and you get a negative event.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have AFK'd there.
I mean, that, for example, we could do one that buffs enemies. Like, you want faster production of something. We build a sawmill. That sawmill gives you a buff of crafting wood or farming wood faster, but it also attracts more enemies and like increases the town's like wrath or something. That is absolutely doable.
Yeah.
It's basically a workaround to the original idea, but in my opinion, it achieves the exact same thing. It is based on the town's progression. It is like perks that I put in and out. We can limit how many of these buildings you can place. So one town has these buffs, another town has these buffs. We can even build them locally. So a windmill is only buildable if you're in a hills biome, for example. And like a sawmill only in a forest.
It would give you a reason to choose where you are putting your town outside of allocation of resources and also just the way it looks too. And that's actually really dope. And I like the fact that we're listing the timetable too. So in the future, if you do decide you want this, everyone who's watching, you can know exactly, hey, you know what? 4 weeks, I can wait long enough for that. But if you can wait 12 weeks, maybe you don't suggest it again for, 2 months and come back to it then. So cool. I like that. Auto sort loot.
The next one. That one was a little bit of a challenge because I did not fully so Bearable asked, is there any way to create a chest with the special ability to send everything to the other chests? I am the chest master in our community and keep running because my friends can't remember where to put things. I happily do this for them. But if there would be one single chest, we can put things in and they send the chest already in use. My problem with this idea was, what you're asking for is, maybe I misunderstand, an auto-sorting function. If your job is the chest master, you're asking me to make you unemployed. Like, you're saying you gladly do this, but you also say, make something so I don't have to do this anymore.
You want a machine to take your job.
So I think there's a lot of and I might be misinterpreting here. I think this is really cool feedback because it shows so much a very personal angle. It is just the right amount of information for me. I will now interpret that generally Bearable likes the role of the chest master of the town. They decided to do that, which is also something that our game design highly encourages. We want you guys to specialize and to make communities where everyone has a meaningful role. What isn't nice is the constant running, basically. Our current system doesn't allow for a fast way of sorting. Auto-sorting, in my opinion, is not something that fits well into the vast majority of survival and MMO games. So limiting it to a certain amount is nice, usually, but having a chest that I put something in and it magically goes somewhere else, I just don't believe that that is a good feature. I understand the need for it, but one essential thing about survival games is just loot. Loot is meaningful, and we already have too much of it, so I even think a rebalance might make sense at some point, but generally, sorting your loot is something that might feel cumbersome sometimes, but it actually enhances the feeling of success when you finally build something and manage well. So, and additionally, I think this takes away a lot of the essential design of this game, which is just, it is designed to be a little grindy and a little cumbersome at times to then reward you with cool buildings and everything. So what we came up with is just a general overhaul of loot management. Rather say, how about we make the clutter chest better? We build a chest that, for example, you can put in a wall and then from both sides access it. I did an incredibly good drawing here, where, for example, like, you are the little player.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
You come in here.
Okay.
And this is all these lock boxes. Like, the blue strings is like, you put your loot in all of these.
Okay.
And then Chestmaster Bearable comes in.
Yes.
And takes that loot and puts it into the right boxes. Basically, all these little loot goblins that generally clutter up all your chests never even access your chests unless they specifically look for something.
It's like an actual bank.
And then if they want something, they can go into here. Let's say there's a door here, and then actually pick up the stuff that they need. They don't need to sort. They just go in here, put that in the lockboxes, you put it away. Additionally to that, we would potentially then bring in more signs. We would bring in more storage options. For example, I think one of the systems why managing loot is currently so cumbersome is that our chests are very big, and it's very hard to store them in ways that I can easily look at a wall and there's 5 chests accessible and just throw the stuff in there. And for example, doing that might make things easier. Potentially looking into backpacks or bags might be an interesting option, where we say you have a separate container for loot. Everything that's in there, you can just with one click automatically throw into a box. Like I click on my backpack and my backpack just gets unloaded into that container anywhere.
Perfect.
And just a general inventory and UX revisit. Yeah. It's not that I don't think this is generally an idea that I understand someone wants. I don't want to lie. So I'll be honest. I think it is in contrast with our game design. I don't think automatic sorting without effort put into it is a good idea. Like, for example, Rust or Minecraft make you build a sorting machine in the game. Absolutely viable choice. Much better, in my opinion. I had to do something so it works. I set it up. I am the person allowing this. It constantly needs electricity, even in Rust's case, to work functionally. Super good game design choice. Just a magic button that sorts loot. I'm not a fan.
Do you mean that as, well, when you say that, do you refer only to this system of putting everything in one chest that auto sorts it, takes it somewhere else? Or would you be adverse to the idea of, if I'm walking back, let's say we expand the inventory, right? We have more storage, more inventory. Let's say now I have 50 slots. I come back. Would you be adverse to me sorting my inventory by quality or by quantity?
No. I think that is super valid. Like, as long as it doesn't magically go into other places.
Yeah.
And like, even like, I think it was suggested here, we also discussed like an auto sorting jib that you have to pay, and the salary of that jib basically is that upkeep cost. It's just, that is again too much work for us. Not saying we can't do it, but that is then just is too long. And we try to stay within a maximum of 12 weeks in our estimates, which is gigantic for a 3-person team.
Okay. Grease, you were right on the nose, setting up giblings and paying them to support in the chest you set up. Yeah. I mean, why even start at giblings, right? There's a whole entire world of humans out there. We don't know how many of them really want to interact with us, but hey, maybe there's some shine too. You never know who else is out there. Y'all want Rux, right? Y'all want a Rux for a long time? What do we pay them? Can they do it?
Okay, this one is an interesting one. Gate PBS. Basically, Mumantai's suggestion here is that the town gate itself should be more visually diverse. I should potentially, even it suggested that it works like the weapon part system, where I can put in different things and it changes it. Yeah, absolutely, great idea. I absolutely agree that it should be more diverse.
Agree.
Here's 2 problems.
Oh no.
And then our solution to those. Number 1, we do not have PBS pieces that have several parts and can then visually be changed. That is just not part of our current system. That would be completely new. We have to build that. We cannot build that. That is too engineering heavy. We could potentially hack around it, build it in a very strange way, but that's just not a good idea for us to do that. The idea itself is great. The second problem, which we can work around, is currently the town gate is not actually a player building system piece. It is not a PBS piece. Even if you put it down, it does not work like other pieces. Like, it will not be attacked by things. It just works completely different instead, which is something we can change. But that is already 2 weeks lost, basically, just so that you understand the estimate better. Our suggestion would be that we do more town gate variations, which should be doable. We move the town gate to the PBS system. We give you different visual looks for it, like another wooden look, another what look. Then you just have to basically can look at it and just interact with it to change its look even later if you want to, once you unlock that look. And we would bring in other visual elements, like, let's say, for example, fairy lights that perfectly fit in between your town gates. And then you can hang them there, and let's say there is one from the Christmas event with the fairy lights.
I was just about to say that.
I don't know, a little gibling that you unlocked because you did the intro, whatever. That would work potentially.
I think that's a great idea. Like, I would love for holidays to be more festive like that. Next year, Halloween rolls around. Your town gate is now super scary. Maybe there's a few ghosts that swirl around the edges of it right there. Maybe there's a pumpkin growing out of the side of the wooden post right there for the holidays. Giving that kind of freedom does sound cool. Adding it to the PBS system, I guess maybe a roadblock might be, can you turn off how it interacts with the PBS? Can you make it sure like it can't be attacked, it can't deteriorate?
We can do that. We just need to move it to the, basically how it works in the game is it has an HP setting, which we could just sell ridiculously high, but it also has a threat setting. So technically, it is possible that something is just indestructible and has 0 threat. Just we handled that differently. It's currently basically a hard-coded asset that just magically appears once you put it there. So because that was just the better way to do it, because we don't want it to be blocked. We want it serves and play like an in-game purpose, right? Like it provides a path that secures a path to the center so that enemies can attack it. We will rework parts of that system in the very near future, though. Like we are currently looking into town attacks and everything. There is work being done, so maybe with that, if this gets a vote next time, this could make it in. Also, only 3 weeks. It's basically building 3D assets and fidgeting around in the system.
I will say I like what's being said in the chat right now, the gibbling guards, because I'm picturing like the Colossus of Rhodes, just 2 giant, just swole buff gibblings carved out of onyx on both sides.
Hey, I'm sitting here pushing every single time we talk about a content update. I was like, Rise of the Gib King. It's like the giblings rise up, little shitty weapons and everything, and the Rise of the Gib King would just be so good.
You'll never see them the same way ever again. Singing their little songs. Are they plotting? We'll never know.
Next one is another one that surprised me. Yeah. When I read this suggestion by Snowtech, the idea is that I have Moonstone vision potions or glasses. I basically do something and then I can at night see creatures. I thought that looks like a nightmare. Probably that is 90 weeks of work or whatever. That is actually 1 week of work. We already prototyped it. It does work. It is more fiddling out how good does it look. We would make it a potion just so that it doesn't last forever. This would be possible. It just didn't receive to enough lead votes to be in this batch. So basically, you have a potion, you consume it, and at night, it would, in your field of view, put a little glimmer around enemies so you can see them.
Okay. So if all of you want that badly, next time the vote comes around, bring this back up and tell your friends, hey, let's vote on this. But 1 week, not bad. Cool.
The next one, sadly, did not receive enough votes, even though it
sadly.
did. Oh, wait, I deleted. No. I actually think this is a great idea. I was considering to put my vote in here. This is just beyond the threshold of where it would have made it into the vote. Gliders. The general idea of just, I can equip a glider, I put it on my back, after roughly a minute or something, it gets consumed. I have to use a new one if I want to do it again. It just slows my fall and gives me a certain angle that I can do based on the speed, and I can just glide down.
Genshin Impact style. Can you explain more about lead votes? You mentioned them a lot. Yeah, Hauke is referring to the different leads of the different departments from engineering, 3D art, concept art, the founders, and how all of them, since they're working as the leads of each individual system, they get the lead vote of saying, okay, based on what's presented, how we present it time-wise, you as a lead, how do you vote on this possibility and how it affect probably your team and how much time it would take away from you and how you would implement it if you were asked to help on it?
Exactly. Basically, it's just a mechanism to not throw these ideas out, let you guys just vote on them, and then they come back to the team and they are super surprised by them and they are in crass contrast with something they didn't want to. None of the ideas we suggested this time was like kicked out by a lead who said, hey, this is like completely the opposite of what I want to do, which is also because we know what they are currently working on. But that's how it works. It's basically the leads of departments in our company.
Gliders, shout outs to Genshin Impact. Yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah, also we would do some level design, build new jump spots. We would need some animation, which is outsourcing, which is basically as soon as we need animation, it will immediately bump up the estimate to 5 weeks. Because we have to ask for that time. It needs to be available. We have to prepare a briefing. We have to do feedback cycles. It just always takes more time.
I think this might become more prominent the closer we get to Liquid Meadows being released, to be honest.
I personally would like to see this before the Liquid Meadows.
Okay.
Because with Liquid Meadows, I would like to bring bubble balloons that then take you up vertically, and then you can press the glider button to then glide down from where you just went vertically.
I would love a town in Liquid Meadows that is only accessible by gliding over to it from other people. Like your own little hole in a mountaintop somewhere. Like, how do you get up there? Gotta glide, bro. Bubble up. See you there. Beautiful.
Bubble up.
Yeah, that could be Bubble Up. That's the name of the update.
We also had some old concept here of the first relay tower variations, which already had wings, so we at least have some concept to go by technically. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I like it. Granite, stone. Beautiful.
Okay, next one. Also, thanks for Blauball again for suggesting. Next one comes from Okaydrian. I very much have. So the idea remains the same. I want to contribute resources to a community project on my / across all servers that makes me say to a new player, I was part of building this and shaping how this world looks. I'll just leave it at that because that's basically the idea. There's cross server is mentioned. I'll just go a little introduction first. On one server, far easier for us than cross server currently for the AP team. For the other team, that is not necessarily the case, but for us, the second we make that not server-wide, but over several servers, we immediately are overwhelmed by it. It's just not something we can easily handle. We do not have a networking engineer. We need to touch a lot of features that touch persistence in our world, and persistence is not easy for us to handle as the Asia Pacific team. Generally, our company is very good at persistence. We're much better than most other AA to indie studios, I would say. But yeah, that's why we came up with a suggestion of saying, let's say there is, I'll again go by an example because that makes it so much easier to understand. I go to the sawmill in Ambros, like the ruins of the sawmill in the north. And there's an NPC that says, oh my god, like I really would like to get this sawmill back running, but first I need some resources. Then you gather that resources, everyone on the server. Given that resources, it goes to the next stage. That event is now in stage 2, where the guy says, hey, I would really like, thank you so much, awesome. Now that this is back up running, there's a vendor over there that actually offers some nice recipes that you might not even have, or food that you can't even make yourself.
Yes.
But also would be really nice if someone got rid of all the, like, I don't know, skull Oropala around here. And there's like super big vicious Oropala, hundreds of them chewing away at the forest on that side. Which means that while they are there, the sawmill can't really operate because the Oropala just keep eating everything away. Then he says, bring me 600 Oropala skulls or tails or whatever as proof that that happened. Again, server-wide. Once that happened, the mill goes into the next stage, which could then be just the functioning state. Suddenly, it provides a level 3 crafting station accessible to everyone. It provides vendors that are now there, and it potentially can even unlock things that gameplay-wise. Another example was a bridge, for example. I think that was also mentioned here. Once a bridge is built up, I can just take a shortcut to the mountains, or even go to parts of the mountains that were not unlocked before.
Yeah.
And the last one would be, for example, we had an example of a little lake that has water in it. If you help to provide the resources needed for the water pump, it pumps out the water, and then you can actually go into a cave entrance below the water surface, and then access a cave that you otherwise can't access. That has resources that usually aren't accessible, or more of certain resources.
I can't believe this is number 5 because that sounds outstanding. I would love to see.
I mean, the numbers are basically random with the exception of the first 3, because the first 3 were the favorites of the Asia Pacific team that we voted on. We're presenting. The rest is completely random. So, yeah.
I would love this. I would love an upgraded station. You could even have like a little ski lift, like a little gondola that takes you to that portion of the mountain. Just hop on there, you're up there, and you're in this little shortcut area. Maybe there's some more lore there waiting for you too, but yeah, I think the idea of progressively updating location that benefits everyone on the server and offers contributions along the way sounds fantastic. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's like a way on the map that shows you the detail of how close it is to completion, what level it is, so you're not left wondering. You can just look and go, oh, it's not there. It's at level 2 right now. I'll just come over there and help finish it then. I do like that. Good choice.
I do like it too. Like I said, it just didn't make it in. It received votes, but not enough to make it into the top 3.
Keep it in the back pocket.
More decoration. Of course, our 3D artist Gina on the west end. We have 2 Ginas now. One of them is the 3D artist on the AP team. Of course, this received her vote. I will just say, for everyone else in our team, this is so damn boring. Because it's just, we basically sit there and watch Gina make more 3D assets.
Let's go, Gina.
It's Gina with an GH, actually.
Yeah.
Just so that I give credit where credit is due.
New Gina.
So basically, what we would do is tie it into the skill system. Like, we would do the game design work needed, bring in, like, and then we combined it with something that I really like is treasure map quests. The idea being, sometimes when you kill something, harvest something, or just walk around, you find a treasure map. It is very similar to how Red Dead Redemption does it. That treasure map leads you to a spot. In that spot, you'll find the next clue to that treasure hunt. And then it randomizes a little bit where the next clue sends you. And after a certain amount of steps, it leads you to the treasure, and that treasure contains the schematics for these rare items. So that basically you can gather them. And additionally, we would with this bring in the vendor, most likely, that we once talked about, where I can hand in schematics and he gives me back a currency that I can then buy other schematics with, so that schematics are not useless.
You know what, Gina, if you're watching this, I'm with you. More wood decorations. They call it boring. I call them boring. Bring in more.
It's just boring for Ari and me. We just sit there, and that's why we came up with other things. Generally, though, this is absolutely doable. Yeah, it maybe next time it receives more lead votes. This time, sadly, if you want to influence these votes, just bring these topics up again. Mention them on the ideas channel. That, hey, this was mentioned. I love this idea. Like, anyone who's with me, give this an upvote so that we can raise our voice and make clear that we love this, we want this.
Okay.
But talking about loving things, we finally come to the top 3, the ones that actually will be available to vote on our Discord in the next, I guess, 2 to 3 weeks.
Correct. We are in the final 3, everyone. This is like you said, this is the one you're going to be voting on the entire time. This is the one that received the most lead votes. Again, the process is you create ideas, and we create those ideas also based on how many times it is mentioned. Like, we'll bring up every idea, but we do keep track of how many times it is mentioned. That's why Hauke brought up, hey, if you want more wood, just bring it up in the video. Because if we get 17 comments on we want wood, then hey, Gina, guess what? It turns out a lot of people agree with you and they want that. So sucks to be y'all. Make it. But these are the top 3 the leads were like, we can make this happen.
So basically, Greesh suggested or asked about expeditions. We originally almost dismissed that, but we gave a proper answer. Mike Drop talked about the Shroom Drain dungeon. Kurai Seraph asked about cave biomes. I'll talk about adventures. What you back in the day when we spoke about the first idea for Shroom Drain or dungeons, basically, that is what we call adventures. An adventure is a one-time playable experience that you can then play again and again, but it has a definitive end and it is short-term. Meaning, hey, this is like 25 minutes to whatever minutes fun, but it's not lasting for several days, which expeditions can potentially in some cases, where like a server for an expedition is online for several days or whatever. You should expect these to be roughly between 10 to 45 minutes in their playtime, adventures. Then the general idea is that they are very small, and we would most likely do something like a horde mode. I think at some point we showed our work on the Idonia expedition, which is just like weird that it's called expedition, but it's like the rescue of Idonia. Idonia was a city outside of the Shield. You have to go there, rescue citizens, do certain things, but you decide in which order to do them. That would be too big for the AP team to pick that back up, but we could take parts of that. I personally think, and this just might be my hot take, the new combat system is incredibly fun, but the enemies are too like meaty. So I would like to build something where you just slash through these little like nothing. Like, they just come at you in waves and you just chop them out of the way. You have to protect a tower or something, and you can play it as one person, you can play it as several, kind of like a hack and slay. You can play it as several people, and there's triggers in the map. Let's say once you go into the forest bandits spawn and come at you. Once you go to the treasure chest on the mountain like bears spawn or whatever, like the icy parlor spawn and come at you. And we make different variations of them. that are less meaty. It's really more of a hack and slay approach, and it's more about handling certain things. And let's say a bridge is broken. Gather resources, rebuild the bridge. Once you did it, the enemies from the other side will come towards you, though. You can gather resources in them. If you're successful, you get like coins or something, and those you can then, with a vendor, trade in for rewards.
I think that's a good idea. It reminds me of, I don't know what the genre of game is called. It has a name, but essentially Dynasty Warriors and everything that Dynasty Warriors does. You're so powerful. There's 1,000 people in front of you, and you just sneeze, and you're on a 100 killing streak just by doing that.
I wouldn't go that far, but pretty much.
Yeah. And then the big boss shows up and says, "You haven't fought me yet." And you're like, "All right,
that is also optional. If we can do it, we would like to bring a boss, for example. And if you meet a certain threshold, that boss spawns, and then you have to fight that boss.
Yes. That's the kind of combat that I love. I love things like that. And along the way, too, maybe you can implement things where during that dungeon, there are things you can pick up that enhance the experience. Like right now, you can do things to up your crit rate and up your defense and all that. But maybe in the dungeon, they just drop it in front of you. You see them, you pick it up. Next thing you know, your crit rate is through the roof, which, by the way, does matter, contrary to belief. Group crit rate goes up. Maybe you get a spinning attack. Like in Ninja Turtles Turtle Time, you grab the pizza, cowabunga, and you start doing that.
There's a lot of misconceptions about certain stats. I've read several times that people call stats use. Calling crit useless is factually completely wrong. It is by far the strongest stat in this game. Like, we do run tests on these. Like, basically, we kind of emulate a fight, and even opening an Excel sheet, it is just the best stat. Crit is the best stat in this game. It might not feel like the best stat, because you feel like my attack just gives me reliable damage output. Also, best is, of course, arguable depending on how you fight, and I think that's why the argument is so hard to make, because if I constantly fight super small enemies and I just two-hit them, of course, attack is better for you. But if you fight big guys that take a lot of hits, potentially with your current weapon, then it's much smarter to go for crit, because you'll just have more crit output if you also pair it with endurance, for example. But I think that is also hard right now, because the combat system will get, most likely this month, another push of some more changes. We're constantly working on it. But going back, there was a question about, like, can I just magically with my twig sword sew them all away? That is testing. We will see what is more fun. Is it more fun if they have a little bit of meat on them? Is it more fun if they are super tanky but they do very little damage? Or is it more fun if they are like normal enemies and I just have to do my best? But I think it's visually very fun, the current system, but it doesn't often feel as impactful as it should, and that's something we would try then.
Yeah, there's always room for all that kind of stuff to happen. Maybe the war-torn Tarivas aren't strong enough and you kill 3 war-torn Tarivas, and that was the chance in the next 3 hours, a war-ready Tariva shows up and says, "Oh, you want to test attack versus crit? You can do it versus me, because it turns out I have 60,000 HP. So let's see how reliable it really is now." And maybe that's a solution.
And I think that's how we would approach this. We would make it a mix of a hack and slay and bosses that actually have more health. And you can choose what challenge you want to go to. Do I want to go to it, like, into it with 3 people? We all super overgeared, and like we can tackle the strongest boss in this or not. But all of that that's why we put 12 weeks, the maximum. This is big. Like, this will be one of the ones that you can vote for. The smaller we make the map, the more we can put enemies in it, because that's just basically how performance works, kind of. And that is most likely what we're going to do. Not a giant map, a kind of small map with a lot of interactable things, and then we'll do our best. But just understand that 12 weeks up there means that for the next 4 to 5 months, we will not have this stream again. Basically, we will not offer a new feature.
It's the bi-yearly stream.
We have to be honest. It's just that it's a 5 months work for an not disqualifying it, but it means that it's very unlikely that in the next 4 to 5 months we can start working on anything else. We'll focus all our energy into this.
On the bright side, hey, maybe once a month we'll give you instead of the bi-weekly community super idea stream, you get the monthly where are we at and what you wanted stream. Which is always an idea. Hauke's gaslighting us.
No, like, we can do the streams and I'll update you. That's not what I mean, but we'll not like go over these ideas again, because we can't do another idea in the AP team. Still, the ideas will be in the West team. The West team can execute parts of it. Your feedback is being heard. Just, yeah.
All right.
But going to the next one. Number two, journal and achievements. The idea here being, currently, we do something that I personally hate, and we did it as a last resort. So because what's asked here is more guidance of for the game. The game introduces new players with a new tutorial into the game, which is also something that we're working on actually, which is really great since it shows most. Basically they're asking, I would like to see more information or a better help tab. Here's a little bit of a problem. I think the current F1 page is borderline problematic. One of the most fun things in a good survival game and an MMO is to discover things in the world. The F1 page tells you every single thing about our world that you need to know to play it efficiently, I would say. Of course, drop rates and everything is not in there, but you know every creature. It tells you where to find that. You can still discover some things, but it gives you that information for free. You have to do nothing to achieve it. You just get it. So what we would do is tie this to a skill tree like thing, basically saying you have a journal, and every time you kill a Tariva, you learn something about Tariva. Once you killed 50 Tariva or 20 Tariva, it shows you the loot that you just got from Tariva. It shows you this is the loot it can drop, like with these other rarities. Then at 50, for example, it shows you more dedicated information on how they fight, what percentages drop chances these have. And at 100, and this is another thing that we would build, we would open the Coreborn archives, which is a building in which you can trade things from these creatures in, like, for example, schematics, to a vendor that is unlocked once you killed enough of them. So let's say everything that a Moon Hunter drops, that vendor of the Moon Hunter sells to you in return for a currency, which is knowledge coins, basically, which you can gain from enemies. Once you killed 50 of them, it unlocks the chance that they drop it, and you can hand in schematics to get them. And these coins you can then trade for these schematics. Basically, the more you kill something, the higher the chance that you actually get something. Yeah, it's just example numbers, 50 or 100 or whatever.
Yeah, I think 50 was just a generous idea. But 50 could also do something as far as unlocking the name. What are you fighting? Who knows? 50. Hey, you're fighting the War-Torn Tariva, or you're fighting a regular Tariva, or you're fighting a Monster. But the idea is giving you information that you want based on how active you are participating in the game, fighting those things. Which honestly,
we would do that for creatures and for gatherables first.
I think it's cool because it gives you more reason.
The better you get at it.
It gives you more reason to do it. Because right now you might stay and fight just around Piper's Whistle and never explore outwards, but you never find out what those other creatures can drop, and you become your own wiki essentially. I think
also additionally you can also basically we can tie it into our skill system, because how it currently works is there is a hidden gathering skill behind everything. So basically every time you get better at something, you also get better at gathering. You might have noticed the better you get at foraging, the more loot you get out of something, and the more reliable it gets that you get more loot out of it. And we could do the same. Once you learned more about a certain creature, you could just get better drop chances for that creature. It just ties in with that. Additionally, the Coreborn archive, which also could have some lore books that you then can look up or whatever, all of that is potentially possible.
Good idea. Also would encourage other players to make sure they're killing the mobs, because even though everything in the game is tradable, if someone trades you the currency you would need to give to the person, the vendor, to give you the stuff, if you can't visit the vendor, then the currency is useless to you until you access it.
Additionally, we do have a setup for currency, so technically we could make it so you can trade it, but I also felt like the vendor already prevents that. If you won't buy the thing for him and give him that or whatever, but we'll see.
Yeah, cool. I like it. Dope thing. Number 1.
And the next one, also one of my favorites, fast travel, was asked quite a bit. This is again a little bit of a problem. I think making things more convenient is not always the best choice, because that's just a little bit in contrast with our game design. Our game is designed to be a little bit grindy. I see the need for fast travel though, and we came up with the following idea. You can basically, at a certain town level, build a thing. We also already made a concept once. Basically, this is like a tube mail, and like what is it again?
Coffin?
What? Yeah, a coffin goes into it. In German, it's Rohrpost, and then you get shot to the location you want to go to, and then you can come out like fast travel, basically. So, coffin tube mail, kind of.
Okay.
So basically, you can build one of these things at a certain town level, certain locations on the map already have these things. For example, Piper's Whistle has one, or like Korheim has one, and other things can have them. And you can travel to any of these on the map, but you do have to pay. So, and we would, for example, tie it to condensed crystals. One travel, one condensed crystal, or two, or whatever. So basically, for being faster, you pay with resources. You have a shit ton of them anyways, so it drains them out a little bit. And we would remove the travel to Korheim button then, yes, or put a cooldown on it and say, you can do that once every 30 minutes, but not from anywhere anymore. You cannot just magically press return to Korheim and you just go to Korheim. Not saying that maybe we'll keep it. That is not really tied to this for now. The idea is you can fast travel to any town you want if you have a traveling thing in your distance and you do have what it needs to pay the guy that you need to send. Like, this could also be Rooks or whatever. I just love this concept. It's kind of old. We did it last year, and I just always loved the coffin tube mail of Nosmerian. And also, it would introduce a little bit of Nosmerian aesthetics, which we don't have that much yet. Yeah.
I think that's a very good idea just for that alone. I mean, I feel like because the world of Tomotoshi is so big, I feel like we should start making it known that the others exist without waiting for them to show up as the next connecting piece.
Yeah.
I mean, more people should be talking about the fact that they exist out there. We just haven't gotten to them yet.
So basically, this would be the idea. It's fast traveling. You can warp to other outposts. It is immediate, but you have to pay for it. You have to build that. Yeah.
Would be cool to travel to Liquid Metals later on too. Yeah, I agree. Traveling to different locations. Maybe the style of the tubing changes too as you go from one map to the other. Maybe the one in Liquid Meadows looks like it's more based out of Aqua. Yeah, that could be really fun. Maybe we put in like a 1% chance it fails too, so you just end up getting KO'd back in your
just come out somewhere.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. Yeah, just randomly
1%
you're in the middle
chance.
of the mountains.
Yes.
Yeah, you're up on the top of the mountains, absolute shit location.
I would love that so much.
I mean, we have the Korheim overflow. You basically, the system has like an error and it just gets shot out somewhere.
Yeah. Sorry, no refunds. Try again next time. But yeah, these are the.
I'll actually add that. I like the.
Thank you. Position of the Tower of Doom and fall down? Maybe. But there you go. Those are the three things that are narrowed down. So these are the ones you'll be voting on. Again, that is the fast travel right there with the coffin mail tube that's straight out of, like, what's the movie called by Stephen King? The Running Man. The same way.
Oh, yeah, kind of.
The contestants got shot out into the field that way. So
yeah, even though we would most likely do the vertical one, like up here, the top left one. But yeah.
I do like that. But there you go. Fast travel, number one. These are not in any order, by the way. These are just your choices you have. So we're not trying to nudge you one particular way. But you have fast travel. You have the journal and achievements as well. And maybe that can include things like lore sites as well, because we have so many lore sites. Maybe you visit a lore site, you get credit there, and you find out the lore of that area while you're there. So you have that. And then you also have the adventures right here with the swaths of enemies, Dynasty Warriors style, or something else.
Even though that might change, because currently I'm the only one in favor of the Hack and Slay.
Oh, you're the only one.
We're gonna see. It still would be adventures. It's something you can drop into. It's instanced with a group or by yourself and just start.
So how much time would they have to vote on this? The 2-week period until the next stream?
Let me just quickly check my schedule, because I have to check until when I need to know, so I can actually, I think we calculated 2 weeks, but I'll check. Should have looked this up before.
This is for all of you watching right now too, and everybody who's watching on socials, anyone who's watching the future streams. You take part in this voting system to let us know how you feel about this.
Yes, it is. It's technically 2.5 weeks until I need to know. I need to know by the 11th of March, because that's when I'm going to start working on the design for this. Actually, I need to know earlier. No, 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Okay, so March 11th?
No, 2 weeks would... Oh, yeah, March 11th. Yeah, no,
okay.
That's correct.
That's perfect then. Yeah. So the next super cool bi-weekly community idea stream that all of you be a part of, we'll have your results, and then we'll put it to action. We'll show you that this voting matters, what you want matters, and then we'll start constructing that. And then what we can do is, once we have updates that make sense, because of course you'll want to know, but no one wants to say, hey, today we drew this cool design. It has one stencil. I hope you like it. When we have considerable designs that make you happy to see them, we can show you, here's where we're at. We're on our timeline. It looks good. And the next time we'll show you this, and then we'll show you this, and here's the final product. And you can know you can be a part of that. And if it's successful, if all of you liked it and you put out tons of ideas, it won't be the last one. We can go back to the ideas we already have or a compilation of new ideas that are brought about.
Even though I would always put these back in the vote, add ideas. If someone suggests something that's kind of in line with what something here, I would kind of try to mix it up, because I don't want to like I said, we came in with the effort to come up with something for every single thing that was suggested. If you feel like you've suggested something somewhere and you don't feel represented on this idea board, let us know on the ideas channel so that we can either explain, hey, this is how we understood your idea, or come up with a new idea next time.
Do you think it'll be possible for people, let's say we do this entire system and, I don't know, close my eyes, let's say fast travel gets chosen. Do you think it'll be okay for people to suggest things about fast travel as we are actively working on it?
Potentially, yes. But yeah, as long as we do it on streams and can potentially answer, because it might be frustrating, because sometimes there's things we can't change,
right,
or we don't want to change because we just believe. I think that makes the most sense once we go into the testing phase, because we also come up to the update on the test servers. I have an update on that in a moment. But yeah, on the test servers, once that starts, absolutely, yeah. Because that's what they are for, right? We gather feedback there. It's less QA testing or something. It's more, hey, give us player feedback.
Okay, perfect, cool. So now you all know what the final 3 you're choosing from are. We'll have that up in a proper voting system so you all can put your votes in. Please don't cheat. We'll IP track. I can't guarantee that, but I'll try. And vote for the one that you want. We'll have the results pulled out in 2 weeks. Now, you said you had an update on test servers. What can you tell us about that?
We have one big change and one smaller one. We had to delay the test servers because there is a technical problem which is slightly sadly connected to Steam, which makes it impossible to overcome. That is just from a developer's perspective, Steam is a wall that is as high as the sky goes, and you can't jump over it unless they open the door. So what we will have to do is we will start by opening servers, but we need to invite people through our Discord. We'll prepare an NDA, and then you just sign that NDA, and then you can join. That NDA is very small, but it is sadly something that is most likely required. And then, similar to how we did it on the Hollywood Escape testing and other Fortnite project testings, there's a dedicated channel which you'll join. Then in that channel, you give feedback, interact with us, everything is normal. And then you permanently forever have access to those test servers, but we can sadly not yet open them up to everyone.
Okay, that sounds like it makes the most sense. Yeah, NDAs usually don't do stupid stuff, and also you're responsible for reading through the entirety of the NDA, so there are no surprises, because that's the whole point. You read through it and go, oh, okay, I agree to that, or you don't agree to that, and that's okay.
Yeah, even though usually they're just like, please don't share this and pretend this is the full game. Basically, don't open a stream, show gray boxes, and say, oh, this is what this damn game looks like. It's just not true. That is a test server.
I can't believe I paid this much money for this game, and it's like this unfinished. Boo!
Oh my god, yeah, look at this.
Streaming's not work, so don't do that, please.
Which doesn't mean that it's not allowed to stream the test servers. We haven't decided that yet. Most likely it will be fine, as long as it's disclosed that that is a test server.
Yeah. It's pretty cool then. I like that. Good update. Good stuff. Good job, everybody. Good job. Give yourselves a hand.
Yeah, and we'll most likely open the servers tomorrow, and then over the coming days start inviting people. I'm sadly out on Thursday and Friday, so it might be that it comes early next week, the invites. Also, we're still preparing all the setup on Discord and everything, but the invites will come soon. Farming is fully playable already on the test servers, and you'll then be able to look into the farming, give feedback on it. We changed some of the values. There will be a briefing, as it always is, that says, hey, this is the current update. Look into it. Thanks for joining.
That is the answer, by the way, to that screenshot that I took last week on social media and asked you all to figure out what is in this screenshot when you saw the boxes and the people holding the blue boxes. Yeah. It was not Tiffany's or diamonds like one of you suggested. That is the actual farming in action. And it is in action. And
yeah, the
very
color
cool.
of those weird blocks indicates the growing state of things. Yes. It's probably also really interesting to see what test features most likely look like until a week before they get released.
Very cool stuff, which means, hey, you never know what might happen in the next week or two. You know, we put out updates frequently. If I were all of you, I would keep your eyes handy. And also this Thursday, surprise announcement for all of you who didn't know, there's a weekly Thursday Blankhans stream. This Thursday's guest will be our very own Michael from the most assured quality in the entire world. I know he's a fan favorite.
I would very much agree. Yeah, I've been hanging out with Michael for, I would say, minimum of 10 years and working with him since he joined the company. Yeah.
I didn't know y'all were 10 years, decade buddies. That's cool.
I would say, yeah, maybe. Like, kind of like, yeah.
He's very good. So all of you who are fan favorites of Michael, which should be all of you precisely, look forward to Thursday. He's going to drop some news about some things that are coming and maybe reveal some things that Renee doesn't want him to reveal. But hey, what he doesn't know won't hurt him, right? There you go.
How I got to know Michael. Michael was a community mod for Rocket Beans TV, a German outlet that I used to work for. And back in the day when I was a community manager at Rocket Beans, I either was naive or very motivated. Like, everyone literally had my phone number. Like, and at some point, the community mods wanted to do like a gathering. It was, I think, 25 people, and they wanted to meet up. And last minute, the location they wanted to go to canceled on them, which was a camping, like a campground. Sorry, that's it. Yeah. And right next to my private home was a campground. And I knew that guy. So I said, how about this? We do it at that campground. Everyone who is not comfortable camping can stay at my house, which is what some people did. And if the weather turns bad, also we can go for barbecue at my house or whatever. Because back then I lived in the middle of nowhere, like a 100-year-old farmhouse that I was renovating. So it sounds fancier than it is. My house was not gigantic and 20 people fit in it. I thought, until on the last day we decided let's spontaneously extend this trip, and 21 of those people slept in my house. Because we like slept everywhere. Like on the floor, in every room there were people. 60 people in the living room, like 7 people in the guest room, and yeah. And that's how I've met Michael personally for the first time. But even before that, we played together and everything. And then just played games over the years and just became friends. Also, Michael stayed, I think his car broke down or something. So he stayed 2 more days at my place back then. And so, yeah.
I like that you met Michael essentially by providing the most abundance of care you could possibly offer. Everyone, here's my phone number. Here's my home. Here's my campground. Let's party. Let's go. Woo!
Yeah. It's like, that was usually I sat at home and someone called me and said, there's huge drama on the Discord. You need to come online right now. And I actually did that. I came online and was like, dude, like, everyone chill down. Nothing is that bad. But yeah.
That's a great story of getting to know someone. So long story short, if all of you want to meet Hauke, maybe he'll be at Gamescom and we'll all meet together at a giant farmhouse we'll rent out. There you go.
I hope if someone buys me a farmhouse.
We'll look forward to it. Cool. We got all the updates we needed. Got the news on the test servers. We got the 3 categories you'll all be voting on. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Any of you who are watching on VODs right now, you have the comment section. It is your best friend. Comment in the VOD section. We will look at it. You'll respond, and we will forward them to the appropriate people if we cannot respond right away. But I don't think any of you are typing anything right now that is relevant. Besides, Michael's a great guy. You'll all see them on Thursday. That's it. Hauke, you have anything you want to say?
No, thank you everyone for sharing your ideas. I think they were honestly all really, really good. I hope that we did a good job at abstracting some of them just because we just couldn't execute all of them in the way they were suggested, but we tried to stay true to the original idea and did our best. Again, that your idea is not in the top 3 this time doesn't mean that we'll never do it. It just means that this time it's not on the vote. It might just as well be next time. Also, keep pushing on it again. Say in the feedback again on the ideas, hey, I love this idea. I think what you did was good, bad, or whatever. Suggest again. Like, we'll gladly consider them again.
As a reminder, keep in mind this is all the Asia Pacific team, which, by the way, welcome on Gina. So this team is just taking care of this stuff. It is not taking into account all the other cool stuff we have going on from the main team and all those cool updates happening and how that'll intertwine with everything we're doing right here. So keep that in mind. Lots of good stuff coming this way. Promise. In the next...
Yeah, no, very good call. Because even us building something doesn't mean that the West team will not build the same thing double as big or whatever.
Correct. And that's the best part, too, is that any of these things that are implemented by the Asia Pacific team, it means the main team can go, oh, thank you for building that. We'll piggyback off of that and add new updates or functions to it this next update. One team. High five, everybody. Hands all in. Woo! We did it. So thank you, everyone, for watching the bi-weekly super cool ideas for everyone else to bring about for the community stream. Working title.
Working title stream!
Yeah, we did it! Cool. Thank you, everyone. Have a good whatever time of the day it is for you. Thank you, Hauke. And that's it. Yeah, cool. Bye forever.
Bye-bye.
Wow, it's the end of the video. You know what comes next, right? I need you to like, I need you to comment, I need you to subscribe, please. Subscribe's pretty easy. You can do that right here. There's a button for that. And you can comment on this video, you know, or you can watch other ones. Playlists right there, other videos to watch. Appreciate it. Thank you.